They built this where stone cracks from cold, where metal becomes brittle, and where the ground never truly thaws. At temperatures reaching minus 60 degrees Celsius, survival itself becomes an engineering problem. Yet here on frozen Earth, humans raised walls, towers, and defenses not by conquering nature, but by submitting to its rules. This is not a story of monuments. It is a story of building where building should not be possible. Yakutsk was not founded because it was livable. It was founded because it was necessary. Positioned along the Lena River, Yakutsk became a critical outpost during Russia's expansion into Siberia. The river served as the only reliable transport corridor, flowing in summer, freezing into a solid road in winter. Geography offered access. Climate imposed punishment. The land beneath Yakutsk was locked in permafrost. The ground never fully thawed even in summer. Traditional settlement logic failed here. Deep foundations risked collapse when seasonal warmth destabilized frozen soil. Stone construction was impractical. Transporting heavy materials across vast frozen distances was slow and dangerous. Yakutsk was never designed as a permanent city in the classical sense. It was engineered as a strategic foothold, fast to establish, defensible, and adaptable. Every decision was shaped by the environment. Location dictated materials. Climate dictated form. Survival dictated speed. Yakutsk existed because it had to, and because it could be built where others could not. Permafrost transforms construction into a delicate balance. The ground is solid only as long as it remains frozen. Instead of deep foundations, Yakutsk Ostrog relied on shallow wooden posts driven directly into frozen soil. Stability came not from depth, but from distribution. Buildings were spread wide, light, and flexible. The greatest threat was heat. Fire, human activity, and enclosed spaces could melt the ground beneath structures, causing sudden failure. Builders learned to manage warmth, carefully isolating heat sources and preventing thaw beneath walls. Cold paradoxically became structural support. Frozen soil locked wooden posts in place with immense rigidity. As long as temperature remained stable, the ground acted like stone. Yakutsk was built to coexist with frozen earth, not to conquer it. Construction respected the limits of permafrost, understanding that stability came from restraint, not force. In extreme cold, wood outperformed stone and metal. Yakutsk Ostrog was constructed almost entirely from timber, pine, larch, and birch harvested locally. Wood retained resilience at low temperatures, while metal became brittle and unreliable. Nails and iron fasteners were minimized, replaced by wooden pegs, interlocking joints, and pressure-based connections. Log walls were thick-layered and designed to trap air for insulation. Flexibility was essential. Wood could expand, contract, and absorb stress without catastrophic failure. Damaged sections could be replaced quickly, using nearby resources. This was not primitive construction. It was adaptive engineering. Wood allowed Yakutsk to remain repairable, scalable, and responsive to damage. In a land where permanence was an illusion, flexibility became strength. Extreme cold reshapes human limits. At temperatures reaching minus 60 degrees Celsius, exposed skin freezes in minutes. Breath crystallizes instantly. Tools become dangerous to touch. Movement slows. Precision becomes survival. Construction could not be continuous. Labor was divided into short, rotating cycles. Workers were constantly replaced to avoid frostbite and exhaustion. Tools were kept warm when not in use. Handles were wrapped. Bare metal contact was avoided. Fire became infrastructure. Without controlled heat, work stopped entirely. Yet too much warmth risked destabilizing foundations. Sound behaved differently in the cold. Wood cracked sharply. Impacts carried farther. Even communication changed. Every action required planning. Every mistake carried consequences. Yakutsk was not built quickly. It was built carefully. Yakutsk Ostrog was a frontier fortress, not a monument. Defense came first. Thick wooden palisades, watchtowers, and elevated positions provided protection against both human threats and harsh weather. Walls were designed to block wind as much as enemies. Speed mattered more than perfection. The settlement had to exist before it could be refined. Structures were assembled rapidly with the expectation of constant repair and rebuilding. Nothing was permanent. Everything was replaceable. This philosophy allowed Yakutsk to adapt. Walls could be reinforced, towers rebuilt, layouts adjusted as conditions changed. The goal was presence and survival, not architectural legacy. Yakutsk survived because it respected its environment. Cold-preserved wood, low humidity slowed decay, permafrost stabilized foundations. Most importantly, the settlement never attempted to dominate nature. It adapted to it. Buildings remained lightweight, heat was controlled, expansion was cautious, repairs were constant. Yakutsk endured not because it was strong, but because it was flexible. Engineering here was not about defeating the cold. It was about learning to live within it. Yakutsk Ostrog proves a simple truth. Engineering is not about strength. It is about adaptation. Where stone failed, wood succeeded. Where warmth destroyed, cold preserved. The people who built Yakutsk did not defeat nature. They listened to it. And by building within its limits, they endured.